Welcome everybody to College Algebra. This is section 1.1, linear equations. This is part one of a two-part video series just covering solving linear equations. Before we get to actually the examples and the problems, what I want to do is list a couple steps that I think will help you no matter which linear equation you come across. So steps to solve. Step one, what we're going to want to do is list any restrictions. For the variable. And these are just values that x or whatever letter that you're using for your variable. These are just values that your variable cannot be because it'll make the problem either undefined or you won't be able to solve it. So these are just values in which x cannot be. Step two, we're going to want to clear any fractions. And to clear fractions, we're going to use least common multiple. Step three, we're going to want to remove any parentheses. And simplify as much as we can. Step four, we're going to want to collect terms. And all collect terms means is that you want all the variables to one side of the equation and you want all of the constants on the other side of the equation. Step five, we're going to solve. And step six, check answer. Okay, and like I said, anytime you come across a linear equation problem, just refer back to these steps. We're going to be, using these steps while we're doing the examples. So first problem. Problem number one, we're going to have w multiplied by 1 plus 2w equals 2w minus 1 times w minus 2. Now, referring back to our steps, list any restrictions for the variable. Well, here we don't have any restrictions because w can be anything. Whatever we get for w, it will be a valid argument just because there's nothing that will make this problem undefined or unsolvable. Step two, clear the fractions. Well, we don't have fractions, so we don't have to worry about that step. Step three, remove parentheses. Well, we have our parentheses here, so we're going to want to remove these parentheses. And to remove the parentheses, we're going to want to distribute. So we're going to want to distribute this w to each one on the inside and then distribute the 2w minus 1 over there. So on the left side, w times 1, which is just w times 2w, which is plus 2w squared. 2w times w, 2w squared. 2w times minus 2, which is negative 4w, minus 1 times w, minus 1w, minus 1 times negative 2, positive 2. We don't have anything on the left side to simplify, so we're just going to rewrite it just to make it look a little prettier. Most of the time, what you're going to want to do is just write each term from the highest exponent on the left, moving on down to the right. So we're just going to switch these two out. So 2w squared plus w equals, there's no w squareds on the right side, so we keep it 2w squared, minus 4w minus 1w gives us negative 5w, and we're left with positive 2. So now what we have is a positive 2w squared on this side, positive 2w squared on that side. Since they have the same sign, We can cancel them both out. And step 4, collect all the terms, meaning we want the w's on one side, the constants on the other side. So we're going to want to move this negative 5w. So plus 5w to both sides. Gives us 6w on the left, 2 on the right. Step 5, solve, divide both sides by 6. We're left with w equals 1/3. So we think that that's our answer, and if we want to write it as a solution set, we write the 1/3 inside the, the little bracket. But in order to be sure whether or not that this is our correct answer, we think we did the problem right. We think our algebra is good and solid, so we think we got a pretty valid answer. But in order to make sure that it's the right answer, we have to plug in this 1/3 into the original problem just to make sure that what we get is right. So that's what we're going to do real quick. 1/3 times 1 plus 2 times 1/3 equals 2 times 1/3 minus 1, 1/3 minus 2. So now we just have to simplify this. We still have 1/3 on the outside over here. And now we have 2 times 1/3, which is going to give us 2/3. 1, we're going to want that as a fraction with the same denominator as the 3. So we're just going to change that 1 to a 3/3 equals 2 times 1/3 on this side. So 2/3 minus 1, and then 1/3 minus 2. So adding these two, remember when you add fractions with the same denominator, all you do is add the numerator. So 1/3 times 5/3 equals 2/3 minus 1, which gives us negative 1/3. And 1/3 minus 2 gives us negative 5/3. Multiplying 1/3 times 5/3 gives us 5/9. And negative 1/3 times negative 5/3 gives us a positive 5/9. So that checks out. So we know that 1/3 is our right answer. Okay, problem number 2. We have 1/2 minus 1/3 x equals 4/3. So step 1, list any restrictions for our variable. Well, here our variable is not in the denominator, so we're not going to have to worry about any restrictions. Any value that we get for x could be a valid statement. Step 2, clear all fractions using least common multiple. So when we use least common multiple, we want the least common multiple with the values that are in the denominator. So the two values that we have here are two different values, is 2 and 3. So the least common multiple, well, multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, on and on and on. Multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. On and on and on. Well, we want the one that is the least common. Which one do they share? Well, this has a 6, the 2 has a 6, and the 3 has a 6. So the 6 is going to be our least common multiple. So we're going to want to multiply the entire equation by 6. So 6 times 1/2 minus 1/3 x equals 4/3. So distributing this 6 to each term on the inside, 6/2 minus 6/3x equals 24/3. And what's that's going to give us? 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. Next step, we want to collect the variables to one side, the constants to the other side. So the x's are already over here, so let's get rid of this 3 by subtracting. Negative 2x equals 5. And last step, or fifth step, number 5, solve, divide both sides by negative 2. And that's going to give us x equals a negative 5 over 2. Or, as a solution set, negative 5 over 2. And the last step, just check our answer. Again, we're going to want to plug this x value. Whatever we get for x right here, we're going to want to plug it into our original equation just to make sure that it's a true statement. So 1/2 minus 1/3 times negative 5 over 2 equals 4/3. 1/2 negative 1/3 times a negative 5 over 2 is a positive 5 over 6 equals 4/3. And in order to add fractions, just like we did here, we're going to want the least common multiple of 2 and 6. So the least common multiple of 2 and 6 is just 6. So we're going to multiply this by 3. That's going to give us 3 over 6 plus 5 over 6 equals 4/3. Since they have the same denominator, we can now add the numerators. So 8 over 6 equals 4 over 3. And this checks out. If you wanted to reduce this left side, you can. 8 over 6, divide the top and the bottom by 2, and that's going to give us 4/3 equals 4/3. But 8 over 6 is the same value as 4 over 3. If you don't believe me, check a calculator. It's fine, but it checks out, so we know that negative 5 over 2 is the right answer. So that's going to do it for part 1. Check out part 2. If this helped you or you liked it, be sure you drop a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.